Lisa Schwartz serves as the LTC's Regional Educational Technology Coordinator for West Central Illinois. Lisa is passionate about meaningful professional development and creating teacher and student leaders. She facilitates professional learning events regionally and statewide, provides consultation and support to school district related to digital learning and technology integration, and develops instructional materials for school administrators, teachers, and students throughout the West Central region of Illinois. Also joining us is Matt Jacobson. Hey, that's me. I'm the Online Learning Coordinator for the Learning Technology Center. I get to develop engaging synchronous and asynchronous online and in-person training opportunities for educators and administrators throughout the state. I can provide coaching, consulting, and training services for schools developing online and blended learning activities for students and staff. I also administer and coach on a variety of learning management systems and many other online tools. Welcome to the webinar today, everyone. We're glad you're here. Well, hi, everyone. It's not often that I get to be on this side of the camera during these webinars. I'm Matt. I'm glad you're all here with us today. And also joining us today is my colleague from not too far down the road and near the greater Quincy metropolitan area, Lisa Schwartz. Welcome, Lisa.
Hello, Matt. Hello, everyone. Thanks for joining us today.
Yeah, we've got several people joining us here. I feel kind of like Miss Peggy on Romper Room. There's Tylen, and I see Jennifer. And also Nicole is out there. Hi, Nicole. How are you doing? If you would like, please join us in the comments section on your browser, as long as you're not driving, and let us know who you are, what you do for a living, and where you're joining us from today. We'd really appreciate it. But today we're here to talk about some tips for safer AI use in schools and classrooms. So without further ado, let's go ahead and get started. Oh, there we go. Getting a little click happy there. Sorry about that. Okay, Lisa, you want to tell us a little bit about you?
There's just some pictures there if you'd like to see of my family. We are avid basketball players, or anything sports, I guess, and very competitive at times. And of course, closer to St. Louis, so big St. Louis Cardinal fans here in this household.
Well, I'm sorry to hear that. As an avid Cub fan, somehow we get along, though. Who knew? Who knew? I am also from a house divided of a bunch of Cardinal fans. Here you see my family, my partner Shelly, her kids, my son, my collection of Yodas, and I just got to become a grandpa this past year. So that's very exciting for me too. But also exciting are the things that are happening out in the schools and workplaces with all of this artificial intelligence stuff. A little over a year ago, that ChatGPT thing hit the airwaves, and our world, I think, changed likely forever. So while we're sort of setting things up here today, we would like to hear from you. Take a moment and think about what's happening at your department or grade level or team or school or district. If you're out in schools, if you're with a different organization, what's happening organizationally? Are you aware of any guidelines about AI use that are currently being used where you work or teach? And if you can, try to summarize those in the comments section in just a sentence or two. Don't ask ChatGPT to do it for you. Don't copy and paste from your faculty handbook. Just give us a sentence or two about how AI is being used, embraced, ignored, avoided where you live and work? Thailand says, as a small rural school district, my school doesn't even know where to start. Some teachers are using it for themselves, for sub plans and lesson ideas, but we aren't sure where to even start with students and incorporating it into our curriculum. Doesn't surprise me much. That's kind of what we hear, Lisa, as we go around to schools and provide these trainings, similar things, right?
You're exactly right. And I like what Thailand put there, that they're using it for sub plans or lesson ideas. And what I've noticed, working with teachers, and Matt and I have been fortunate to do several different workshops for teachers around the state around AI. And, you know, we encourage you to start using it for personal use. And
Mhm.
then once teachers are seeing how they can use it, in their personal lives, like giving them suggestions for lunch ideas for the week or dinner ideas or travel plans or whatever it may be, then they start questioning, oh, could it help me with lesson ideas or what can it help me with? Kind of like what Thailand just said and the comments there.
hmm And Jennifer reports something very similar. Teachers using it to make their work easier. Leveling texts, that's a great use. Transcribing videos, creating rubrics, but have not yet embraced it for student use. Okay. Again, those are some great ideas and very, very valuable ways to use AI to help kids, but you're using it behind the scenes. Um, and Dawn says we're still in the learning stages about when it comes to AI. And to be honest, that's where so many of us are. If you think about um, where we are now, a lot of people say that since the terms of service usually require users to be 18 or older, we should just block everything having to do with AI in our schools and let somebody else deal with it. And that's not really the best way to approach this. And if you think about it, we've sort of been here before, right? Think about driving a car. When my mother was a young girl in the 1940s, she was just lined up in the gymnasium and told to sign a paper, and they gave her a piece of paper that was essentially her driver's license. That is kind of scary to us today, right? So where did we go? We realized that these vehicles could have a lot of potential benefits, but they could also be kind of frightening and even physically dangerous. So what'd we do? We made students take some classroom instruction, some behind the wheel instruction, and then take a practical test of their skills and a written test of their knowledge before we gave them the opportunity to go out and operate this vehicle on their own. And a lot of places nearby, even the state of Kentucky, has a digital passport or a digital driver's license that they issued, not necessarily in AI, but in, with technology in general in their schools. And I think AI could benefit from maybe not the licensing, but certainly the classroom and practical instruction uh, uh, avenues like we do with driving a car. So, Lisa and I are here today to provide you with a few tips to help you and your students do just that. Use AI a little more safely and uh, either within our schools or classrooms or for our own personal use as well.
Well, perfect. So this first one we're going to look at is, embracing critical thinking. It's that digital citizenship, and it's what you may have learned and or be teaching your students when they evaluate websites. So if you look at some of the different AI tools out there, again, they could have biases, just like the websites could also, but they could also have hallucinations. And I was reading an article, and maybe someone read this or heard this too, that, you know, that the AI tools can produce hallucinations. Well, they were saying instead of using the word hallucinations, they suggested another word. And for the life of me, I can't find that article again and or see what that word was. So for the sake of this, I'm still going to use the word hallucination. So in this case, as you can see, embrace critical thinking. What the students and educators, basically it comes down to making sure you fact check. And there's a couple different things you can fact check. And just like what we do with websites, we can do the same thing with AI, because if you're using Google Bard or you're using Microsoft Bing Copilot, that it can pull things from the internet and give you websites to further your research on that conversation you're having with one of these AI tools. So I'm going to show you here, or Matt, I don't know if you want to show them, that's fine as well. Okay. Matt, do you prefer me to present?
However you want to do it.
Well, I'll try here real quick, and then if
is it the lateral reading? Okay, go ahead.
If I struggle too much, then I will let you take over.
We'll fix it in post-production. It's all good. We'll trim it out. It's all good.
Okay.
There we go.
All right, perfect. So here we have this image of this person on an electric bike. So one thing that you can use is the reverse image search. So if for some reason you are using AI and they're generating images for you and or suggesting websites to get images for, you can check the validity of that by using a Google reverse image search. So all I have to do is go to Google, and I'm just going to take that image real quick. I did get it off of this website here, and I just copied and pasted it here. And then what I'm going to do is just upload the file of that image, and it's the e-bike option. And real quick, just to show you, then here with the Google reverse image search, that I might have gotten some information from searching or, having a conversation with AI. I can look right here, over here to the right. This is where they have located this image at. And as you can see, there's some similar images. So then I can go a little bit deeper to check if this image, if I want to use this image to make sure that I cite it. And I can check to see, hey, did it come from this website? And it allows me to do some lateral searching. And I'll talk about lateral searching here a little bit more. But as you can see, it brings me up, hey, this was published May 22nd, 2023. And it gives me some more information on that. And then it also brought me to this page as well.
That's great. And those are tools that educators are already familiar with.
Yeah, you're exactly right. And students are too. But sometimes I think, Matt, you and I, we were talking about this. Sometimes we forget about that tool.
Right.
Because there's so many tools out there. The other thing real quick is teaching lateral reading. Again, you may be doing this already with websites, but you can incorporate this within your AI, toolbox too, that they not only, read vertically the information that they're getting from the AI tool, but then also checking out links to it. So if that's something that you want to learn more about with lateral reading, got some links there. There's some lesson plans from Civic Online Reasoning that you can take a look at and dive into as well. Because again, what we're finding is teachers all across the board are trying to incorporate this if they feel like they can find the time to do this, but just understanding it, you can look at that. So that is
And
the lateral reading. Go ahead, Matt.
well, I was just going to move on, and there's a great TED Talk that I've linked there at the bottom of the slide, and also um, the ISTE, the International Society for Technology and Education, has developed a number of these. A number of these hands-on AI projects for classrooms. And one of the ones that they have developed is directly on developing a critical eye. And this is a longer project, but it speaks directly toward that need for teaching critical thinking skills and how to actually do it. A lot of people think, well, critical thinking, that's kind of an enigma. What is that? Well, here, ISTE breaks that out with easily teachable lesson plans and resources to support that in your classroom, starting tomorrow if you want. Let's see. Let me go back here, and let's move on. The next tip we have for you is, as Lisa mentioned, learning to and helping your students recognize and understand bias. Both students and educators can explore how AI tools can be biased by the data that they're trained on. Many people are surprised to learn that the free version of ChatGPT, for example, was trained on data from that ended, I think it was back in 2022, right? So it's old data. But that data set is finite. And that finite data set can contain certain biases. So understanding bias really comes down to those basic social studies skills, those basic media literacy skills that we've been teaching since we started talking to kids about how to read a newspaper or a magazine critically. MIT has a great article, a great blog post, when AI gets it wrong, addressing AI hallucinations. There's those data hallucinations again, and bias. And by the way, data hallucinations occur when the AI keeps telling you things that you know are wrong, but AI is certainly convinced is correct. And that can happen. Just like the bias, AI doesn't know what its bias actually is. So it's up to the user to think critically, read carefully, and do the homework. Okay. Also, our friends at Common Sense Education have some fantastic lessons on understanding AI bias and how that bias can impact us. If you sign up at Common Sense Education, sign up for a free account. Everything there is free. You can get lesson plans that will help you teach about AI bias, and it gives you, lessons that would lead up to this, like how is AI trained? What is artificial intelligence? It gives you a whole slide deck ready-made, which is kind of nifty, and a lesson plan. And it even goes down to what you should say and what you should put on the board or the whiteboard or the smart board or what have you, what to explain. Next week, we will have Jennifer Ehalt from Common Sense Education, who will take you on a deeper dive into the Common Sense Education's AI literacy lessons for grades 6 through 12. And so I would encourage everyone to Head over to ltcillinois.org/webinars. Find that webinar and register for it. It's free. All of the Common Sense education resources are free. And join us back here so that Jennifer can walk you through how to use those in the classroom. Lisa, up next, tip 3.
Yeah. Okay, so focusing on responsible use. So I not only talk with a lot of educators and students, but I work with a lot of parents as well. And was talking to a parent the other day that it was I think a snow day, and her son had to work on a history fair project. And, he didn't want to do it. And so they were going back and forth, and because he just needed help getting started. So I said, why don't you use AI to give him a list of things to get him started here? And okay, am I sharing my screen?
I can bring you up right now.
Okay, perfect. Thank you. And so how to do this. So what I did, I opened up ChatGPT. I will tell you, I usually use Google Bard or again, Copilot, Microsoft Copilot. But as of today, well, maybe the other day, with our education account right now, I can't bring up Copilot anymore. So I'll bring up ChatGPT here. So again, what I put up here, and I don't know if you can read it. Let me zoom in a bit. And now it looks like my Chrome needs to be updated here. I'll do that later. So I put in, hey, I need to write a paper on a Spanish artist, Francisco de Gallo. And it says, oh, there might be some misinformation or confusion as of their last knowledge update of January 2022. And Matt referenced this earlier too, that they don't know who that is. Well, so then I went down and list some Spanish artists, because I know this is a Spanish artist. And then certainly ChatGPT gives me a list, and there we go, Francisco Gallo. And I had his last name wrong. So then what I can do, so here's all the Spanish artists. And then what I can do, I need to create a PowerPoint on Francisco Gallo. What are some key points I need to cover in the presentation? And so again, I am chatting back and forth, and I know there might be certain prompts that you might be able to ask it to get everything you need in the beginning, but don't be so hung up on making sure you ask it the right thing, because again, if you're like me, you might forget something. So here, I didn't put the grade level or anything. I just said, hey, give me, as you can see, give me some key points I need to cover. So if I didn't know much about this person, didn't know where to start, as you saw as I was talking there, ChatGPT just went ahead and gave me a list of information there it outlines his life and notable works here. And this will get me going to then take a look at the material and give me a starting point. And that's what sometimes, the kids may need to get going. And I like showing this because, again, for me, if I had to do this and I had, some suggestions here, I could just go ahead and spend hours on this now rather than spending hours on what I'm going to write about. So hopefully this saves time on the front end. And again, it's realizing that, there's different camps out there. Feel free to drop in chat if you think this is okay. Some of you may not think it's okay. Feel free, share your opinions, because in our society, we want people to question everything we do, because then in the end, hopefully, as they are using AI or looking at websites, they're questioning those as well. So my train of thought is, yes, let's use it as a tool to teach the kids to help them get started, but then they're not going to, copy all of this down here. Impact and legacy, discuss his influence on later artists and art movement. So I would have to maybe go and research that. If I go back, talk about his prints and engravings. So as you can see, I could go on and on about all of this. So if you look back here at our slide deck, then, modeling responsible use for your students and even your parents. Again, some of you may, there's different camps out there as far as if people think it's an okay use to use. But if we don't start using this and trying to teach our kids how to incorporate it in their work and their lives, they're going to be left behind because other people will maybe get ahead because they know how to use some AI tools to increase their learning.
Mm-hmm. And that brings up the whole equity discussion, and we could go for hours just on equity alone, couldn't we?
Yes.
On that topic, as far as ethics and ethical use goes, UNESCO last fall came out with a guide on the ethics of artificial intelligence for education and society in general. And ISTE also has recently released a guide on ethics and AI in the classroom. So at the end of our presentation, you'll get a link to this slide deck, and you can explore all of these links and topics in greater depth. 1 hour, we're just going to be scratching the surface here today. So moving on. This webinar is being broadcast during Cybersecurity Education Week 2024. And that's great, but it's also vitally important that every educator, as Lisa pointed out, teaches and models good cybersecurity practices every day, good data privacy practices, and good physical and cybersecurity practices. Once again, MIT has some great tools that can help you with that. Actually, these tools, I believe, yes, these were the ones that were actually piloted in workshops with Girl Scouts in Massachusetts. And these are for the younger kids. These are designed for students in grades K through 9, so elementary school and middle school. And these also will provide you, if I can move past all the lead up, provide you not only with lesson plans, but videos, run through videos, slide decks, worksheets, everything you need to get started and design your own classroom activities from late middle school all the way to kindergarten. I jumped ahead. Apologies.
Matt, real quick, I'll add what I like about that, what you shared.
Sure.
And that is, it also has a guide for debating tech and AI with your child. So again, if these are parents, most parents didn't have this AI when they were in school, so they don't know how to help their child with it. And if it's about educating the parent too, that this helps them understand it as well.
Absolutely. And this would be a great guide also to bring up at a staff meeting for folks in the workplace, folks in school environments, to really kind of get started in exploring AI. Maybe you're developing policy for the upcoming school year, or your handbook revisions or something like that. These could be great discussion starters to help you really hone in your thought process. Thank you for catching me on that before I went ahead too fast, Lisa. I appreciate it. Okay, now moving on. Also, there are a number of data privacy and security lessons, also from our friends at Common Sense Education. Wow, I'm loading really slowly here today. And if you're logged in, this will bring up the filtered lesson plans, filtered by privacy and security for all grade levels. And these will range anywhere from 10 or 15-minute activities to a full hour or more, everywhere from kindergarten, I think down here at the bottom, all the way up to 12th grade. So again, our friends at Common Sense Education have really stepped up to the plate to provide teachers with ready to use out of the box lesson plans for so many aspects of AI and cybersecurity. Please encourage you to go ahead and check those out. Now, our last big tip, well, almost last, tip number 5, as Lisa and I both have alluded to, it's very important to foster open communication around artificial intelligence and how it may or may not be used, should or should not be used. We get many calls here at the LTC saying, hey, I need a policy on AI for my teacher handbook, for my student handbook, etc. And kind of our response is, that's true, but that's not there yet. Not many places are there yet. There are some states that have released some guidance documents, but as far as a blanket policy, I don't think there's anything out there just yet. So really, each school and each community that the schools serve really need to sit down and discuss what expectations are appropriate for the various grade levels and clientele served. And the only way to do that is to start that open conversation. In the spirit of openness, I did not come up with the idea for this webinar completely on my own. The topic, yes, but the content, just as folks were saying earlier, I asked both ChatGPT and Google Bard to generate 5 tips for educators and students on safe AI use in grades K through 12. And both tools gave me good information. I felt drawn to Google Bard a little more than ChatGPT, so that's what I used. And you can share directly your searches. Here's my search prompt that I typed in, and here's the output. Now, I tried to get Google Bard to even build the slide deck for me, and I wasn't thrilled with the way it structured the slide deck, so I kind of went off book and went on my own. But then I looked up how to cite, well, come back here. Sorry about that. How to cite AI generated responses. And this was the closest I could come up with. Here's your author, Google Bard. When did it happen? January 2024. What was the prompt? And in brackets, text generated by AI. That's a great way to cite that source. I'll also bring up this site. Now, I don't endorse AI checkers or anything like that, but I do want to bring up these resources from Turnitin.com on their site, Academic Integrity in an Age of AI. They offer a number of professional learning resources and educator resources, and some of these resources are discussion starters for tough conversations about AI, approaching a student regarding potential AI misuse, handling false positives, some great resources that can help you and your staff start to really zero in on some of those more discrete issues that you may come up with once we go down this rabbit hole of AI in schools. Now I see we have a couple of comments here. Okay. Let's see. Kendra asks, are we permitted to share this presentation with other teachers in our school once we receive it? Absolutely. We will also be posting this recording on our YouTube channel as soon as we're done here, and I'll edit down the front and the back to make it a little quicker and easier for you to share afterwards. So great question, Kendra. Thank you.
And Matt, he talked about he liked his Google Bard answer, I think, over Chat GPT. And you might be asking, well, which one should you use? My suggestion, use any and all that you have available to you. Like I just showed you using with Chat GPT about checking for some information on Francisco Gallo and helping with the presentation, that, throw it in Google Bard. If you have Copilot available, throw it in there and compare. And over time, once you start using them, you might have a go-to one. I know Matt said Google Bard's his, but again, my go-to has been Microsoft Copilot, except now I've got to work on seeing if I have to just use my personal account or if we can get it access to it with our work account. So you may or may not have access to it with your accounts at school.
Right. And I encourage people to use at least two of those tools and see and compare the output, especially as you're learning. Compare the output and you'll see both were trained on different data sets. And the more you use it and the more you become familiar with it, you may start feeling more comfortable with one over another. But as Lisa points out, a lot too is going to depend on what is actually available to you to use. So these are all good tips. We were only going to give 5, and we're given so many more than that. And we couldn't limit it to just 5 anyway. So this is 5 plus 2. We've got 2 more to go. So as with cybersecurity and digital citizenship and media literacy, all of those things are important for every educator to promote, no matter what we teach, no matter what our role in education is. And AI is no different. Every educator can help students explore and understand artificial intelligence. And it starts with us, as we just said, it starts with us exploring it ourselves. The more you understand and know about how AI works, the data it's trained on, and the type of prompt engineering it takes to generate the output that works for you, the more confident you're going to feel in helping students use it safely and appropriately as well. So once again, I kind of keep coming back to the same resources, but I really like the information from the International Society for Technology and Education. There are a number of fantastic resources available there. And by the way, they are developing their own AI chatbot for educators. There's a guide for leaders on artificial intelligence. So department chairs, principals, superintendents, how to engage students. This is where those AI project guides come in. There's an ethics guide. Notice there's also a computer science guide and a guide for elective educators as well. There's a great online course. It's kind of involved, but it's really, really good. And a lot of other resources that will help you understand and connect with AI in a way that suits you best. MIT has some great resources. Here's AI for All. AI for All has some an open learning curriculum, and I think it's really good for high school and post high school learners. Here you see it tackles some of the current events like deep fakes and facial recognition and things like that. There's an amazing course on ethics in there. But also the how it works. If you've got some students in high school who really want to dig down deep into how the AI works and dive into neural networks and whatnot, this is some really good stuff if you really want to get deep into the weeds. And we've got some kids that this would really appeal to. Google's Applied Digital Skills has some lessons, and Microsoft Learn has a great online course for educators that is completely free. You can take it on your own time, and it starts very basic and builds out with how to use these tools effectively in education and how to address accessibility and equitable access needs as well. Lisa?
All right, thanks. So all of these resources we're showing you, it's okay to take a deep breath and realize there's so much out there.
There is.
We could spend a whole semester or 4 years of college and, getting your undergrad degree in AI or master's degree, whatever it may be. And it can be overwhelming. So just take a deep breath and hone in on one thing. Hopefully you can take at least one thing new that you've learned away from here today. And then as time permits, or as you see fit, go back and look at some of these other resources. So the next one here, like Matt has shared and talked about, that some of the information that these AI tools have been trained on, there may be some biases in their hallucinations, but I want to show you, it's this last link here, this most likely machine. So when you get this slide deck, then that...
Oh, were you ready for that one?
Yep, I'm ready here. Okay, there we go. So if you go to this link, what this link does, it allows you to actually train this AI tool here of, if you look here, it says, meet the class of the Millennium Middle School. So here's 9 of your classmates. You may recognize some of the names, and it allows you to then go and train the machine. And again, if you're doing this with other teachers or students, their machine may not provide the same answer. And why is that? It's based on how they trained their model. So go to a top university. Let's say somebody put Jackie Robinson, most likely to go viral. Let's say they put Cleopatra, and then select a candidate to go, the troublemaker. Let's say Albert Einstein was a troublemaker. And so you go through this and you train this machine based off of these personality traits. So whoever you think should be the most adaptable, you would put there. So you may think troublemaker. You may have another teacher or student think, oh no, the person who's most likely to go viral will be adaptable, and so forth. You have several different traits here. And as you're doing this, then you can see, I'll put aggressive, go to a top university. Athletic, again, you can put it however you want. And at the end, then you can have it give you an answer. And when it gives you the answer, I don't know if it'll let me go back to, okay, it's not going to let me go back to my predictions here. But I had Albert Einstein being the troublemaker, and then Bruce Lee going to a top university, and then going viral, I had Rosa Parks. But again, other students or other class or co-teachers might have a different answer based on how they train the machine. So again, if you're wanting to understand or teach this or have the students understand not to believe everything that they see, whether it's on the internet or these AI tools, go through this most likely machine activity. And it just, again, will bring up more conversations about, you know, the material and the material the AI tools have been trained on. And that is under promoting and model responsible AI development and use. And Matt, go ahead if you want to talk about some of the others if we're
Well, I was just going to ask the question, where do we go from here?
okay.
And I think really from here, the best place for you to start is is by having that conversation, like Lisa said. Explore the tools. How do you feel about them? How could they be used for good? And a when would you feel most comfortable or least comfortable with students using AI? Obviously, you're going to have to look at the tools, the terms of service, and the students that you serve, and what is going to be most appropriate. But remember, just like with driving a car, just because the students maybe can't use these on their own yet, doesn't mean we shouldn't be teaching them how to use the tools once they can. We've included a number of policy resources. I imagine during this spring semester, we will probably see a large number of school-based committees, administrators, school boards, and so on start to sit down and say, hey, we need to revise our student handbook. We need to revise our teacher handbook or our board policy handbooks. And we need to make sure that we're doing so appropriately in this age of AI. A number of these resources can help you start that conversation, might help you guide that conversation. Again, U.S. Department of Education has come out with some. There are some states that have developed policy. Simple Google search will let you find those. Certainly UNESCO, U.S. Department of Education, and ISTE can also provide a number of great resources to help guide that conversation as well. The Illinois Principals Association has developed some model student handbook language on the use of artificial intelligence. It is a model student handbook. I don't think it's intended to be copied and pasted, but again, something for you to take a look at and consider and use in ways you feel most appropriate. There are some resources for revising those responsible use policies or acceptable use policies out there in your schools. And again, I threw in that citation for Google Bard that helped me develop this presentation for you. So that, I believe, brings us to the end of our presentation today. Lisa, did you have anything else you wanted to add?
I don't think so. Just remember well, I said I don't think so, but I guess I will add something that it can be overwhelming. Start small and start with something that can help you in your personal life.
Yep, absolutely. If you would like to grab this slide deck, feel free to snap that QR code or type in bit.ly/safer AI and then capital LTC. That is case sensitive. And please feel free to reach out to us. You can find contact information for Lisa and I on our About page. You'll find our staff directory. And you can also visit our Contact Us page and someone will route that information to either Lisa or myself so we can follow up with you. If you have any questions right now, we'd be more than happy to entertain any questions. If you'd like to drop those in the comments, please feel free.
All right. Well,
All
Matt,
right.
thank you.
Well, and thank you very much, Lisa, for helping with this presentation. Lisa has an extraordinary wealth of knowledge on the topic, and I'm trying to keep up with her some days. And I appreciate you taking some time away from your busy schedule, training teachers and administrators to join us on this webinar today.
Oh, you have a wealth of knowledge too, Matt. You're not giving yourself enough credit.
Well, thank you. And thanks to everyone else who took a little time out to join us on this webinar today.